All right. So we are looking at two menus today. The UX of the Connect menu, as I call it, which is the menu where what you get when you first enter Aliverse, where you currently get to choose place and avatar and microphone input stuff. And there's a second menu, which is like I think I got called the in place menu, which is the one that you open with the R button when you're inside a place. Juliana, you're not in the mirror just yet?
Oh, I'm not. That's very true.
I'll send you the link. I have it up right here. And design. Where's the design channel? Here it is.
But I was taking notes.
So, if I recall correctly, which I did, here we go. All three of us have been drawing things here. So, Juliana, would you mind going first once you're in?
Yeah, and as to classic for today, I have to re-sign in every single app. That's so not cool. I was telling Toby early that my Google Chrome is making me sign back into everything in Notion, in Miro, in Clubhouse, like every single day.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why it's been going on this week, especially, but I'm in right now, so.
I think there's like a persistent incognito mode you can turn on and off that might mess with stuff.
Persistent
Incognito mode, like private browsing. So if you turn that on, like no cookies are saved, so you're always logged out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time to look into it, but all I know is that every time. So cool, I'm here.
Yep. If you go to the right, a couple of.
Like,
So we looked at that one, and we looked at that one, and we looked at that one. So the fourth one, this is the one we'll be taking a look at today.
Right. So this is the Connect menu, as you call it.
Yes.
And I just say main menu. So the breakdown for me, it's pretty much kind of the functionality we do have now. And I think at the time we didn't have the capabilities to add a name tag.
Right.
But now we do. So it's in here anyway, just like we have it. But basically, it's pretty simple and self-explanatory. You have all the main functionalities packed in the buttons. You can choose an avatar, turn your mic on and off, connect to a place, and then you choose what place that needs to be, and then quit the app, because at this point you can't really quit the menu, just quit the app because you haven't chosen a place. So maybe we should say here quit app too. And then from here, choose the place, to be decided how we're going to go about that. But I think but yeah, I mean, that's my main thing for, it's not very different from what we have now.
Yep.
Maybe I think just UI might need to be a bit different. Okay. That's about it.
Okay. I guess. Another one. Maybe this also didn't exist back when you made this, which is now a while ago. But the option to select your input source, or input source, your microphone.
To select it. Oh, like on and off?
No.
You're not just on and off, but also select which microphone if you have multiple ones.
Oh, like your headset or your
Your
IP.
webcam or your internal microphone or
So, okay.
Hmm.
So I guess,
Oh, but you're
and
not
that,
like you. There's no like. Let's see here. So that was just something that you didn't exist or didn't think about. It's not something that you consciously would like to leave out of this.
right. And so that applies for VR, right? Not for 2D.
2D as
both.
well. Yeah.
Both. Okay. So I guess we can just create one more guy here.
So in the current version, I've moved microphone settings into an options menu. So there's an options menu where we can also add more stuff like locomotion style and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Also toggling debug, I think, or maybe that's in place. Anyway.
No, that's in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the debug mode. We have that too. And that should be here as well. That's true. Well, I don't want to
Um,
modify this, but
yeah. We can. I think we can move on. We've talked
yeah,
about it, so
yeah.
we'll remember. Nevin,
I'll
would you
just
like to show us what you have been drawing?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
All
Following you.
right, so let's see. Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Indeed.
Yep.
So let's see. This is a while ago. So, yeah, no specific UI ideas. Like Juliana, it's just a what's this called? Just breaking the problem down. Um, so I know none of us like the idea of an entire menu on your wrist, but I like the idea of just having quick actions on your wrist. So like a button to open the main menu and a button to mute, unmute. So I think, and I've been struggling with where to put the mute button, because different apps do a lot of different things, like put it in some sort of floating menu or put it on some persistent location in your vision or put it on your wrist. I think those are, or put it under a button on your controller or mute when you're holding your controller over your mouth. I've even seen that. So there's a lot of them. Of those, I think I like the one on the wrist best. So for identity, which is choosing an avatar, choosing a display name, and choosing other things about who you are, like maybe a description, email, whatever, I really like the Rec Room style of walking somewhere in your home to select, to customize that stuff. So you're like physically walking around in your menu to do that. Like one of the walls having a mirror where you customize it. That's straight off of Rec Room. That's how Rec Room does it, and I really like that approach. So that's a little bit what I had in mind when I put it off on the side, like it is right now. But making the menu even more physical, I like that idea. But I do understand that it might be a bit off for a professional application. But I still really like it. As for Connect, I think I want to highlight that it's nice to have a list of recent places to be able to reconnect them like we have now. But I think most entries into places will be done through URLs. So you either click a URL from a website, or you go to the same place on your VR headset that you are in on desktop, or you click in a link in a place into another place. So basically, hyperlink-based navigation is probably going to be the main way to go into places. So I don't necessarily think we need to super highlight connection in the main menu, since that might be done through hyperlinking. Just a thought, right, which I think is important, because I think the reason the Connect is so highlighted in our current menu so far is because there hasn't been another way to connect. So that's why there has been a focus on it. So I just want to highlight that as we think about like what has been important versus what is going to be important when we have a proper feature set. Again, about the spatiality of the place and using the physicality of it, I really like the idea of having doorways for navigating into places. So if customizing your avatar is a mirror on one wall, having another wall being a row of doors into the places you've been before could be a very tangible way to get back to where you've been. And then you could also have like an extra sparkly door for new people. So you can there's one place you can go to figure out how stuff works, and you do that by walking through a door rather than clicking a button. So back at it with the skeuomorphism. That's me. So yeah, that's my take on the main menu.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So. Okay. Well. I guess I've been stuck in the mindset of it like being more of a menu, not that it can be that it can be so spatial. I think that's really cool. So
I
then
think
the mute and unmute on your wrist, that would just immediately carry over into the other menu as well. Then I imagine, like
Yeah.
the features
Yeah.
of the wrist features will just carry over. Oh, okay, that's really lovely.
what do you mean by wrist features will carry over?
I'm thinking so that like this menu, quote unquote menu, is just that's the room that you land in. Like when you open Aliverse, you are in a room, but you are still yourself. Like you're still a character, an avatar, like navigating the menu by doing things in the room. And this avatar has access to a wrist, which it can like hold up and have some options like muting yourself or and once you enter a place, this all just carries over like the same interaction. So muting yourself in the menu is done the same way as muting yourself in a place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Do we comment on each or at the end?
I go ahead now, I think. Yeah. If you have any particular feedback on this.
I do. I'm sure you guys know this, and Nevin does too. That I'm not a big fan of the watch. However, for this specific microphone mute unmute operation, I think it's very handy and
handy.
Yeah, I do believe that. Now I wonder though, in which I wonder though if we give them a wrist menu, if we might start putting more functionality than we want in that, and because there would be it's there and it's and I wouldn't want it overpopulated with functionality.
Totally agree.
But I really like the idea of having it so handy you don't have to look for it because it's such a privacy concern. Yeah. I really
so I think if we do that, I think we should have a guideline or a rule for ourselves to not put more than 2 things in there. So in order to not overload it with functionality, one of the 2 things is going to the menu. So you can put all the stuff in the overlay menu and you access that from your wrist.
Yeah.
But your wrist doesn't have more than 2 buttons ever.
What if the wrist can bring up the main menu as well? So you have really just 2 things going on. You can bring out the main menu. And
that's what I mean.
What happened there? I'm sorry. I'm telling you, I'm the worst with text.
That's so smart, Yuli.
Well, great minds.
Yeah, seriously, I like this a whole lot.
Yeah, me too. The mirror thing, though, I like it too. I don't know why I feel like it's maybe a later version when we actually have the avatars being able to be customized. Um, because right now there isn't. It's like very simple choices.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, what we have now, I tried to make a mirror basically. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
because the things do mirror you. So what we could do is just put that UI like against the wall,
Mm.
and that would be this idea basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, or add a frame to it and make it a little bit more mirrory. I agree, though. I mean, maybe don't want to spend too much effort on it.
Mm.
But
Yeah, like I'm thinking in terms of building that whole thing. If like right now, kind of hold on to those efforts for now. And the last thought I had for doors to the places, um, I think is really cool. I think we need a visual as you translate into a new place because it's either has to look fully different, but then there is a transition that's needed. I like the proposition. I like the idea of having some sort of things that open to receive you into a new place. And it makes it more obvious your choice is working. Like I'm actually going there.
yeah, and I think I don't like things that don't have transitions. So this thing we have
Yeah.
now, when you connect and you just flip into a new place, I don't like that because it's
Mm.
not obvious what's happening. So I think being able to like physically walk through a door would make it so much more obvious what's actually going on.
Yeah.
I have more questions, but about the door, but not now. We
Hmm.
can dissect that
Sure.
at a
All
later
right.
time. But I love the idea.
I've thought a lot about the doors. I really like the idea of the doors. So,
All right,
but I
let's
just want
make it a
to,
separate conversation. I'd love to hear it.
yeah, let's do that another time. But one last note I want to say is this idea with the mirror and the doors and stuff. It's mostly I just want to say, like, we can make UI that doesn't feel like UI, and I think that could make Eleverse feels more approachable because UI can be overwhelming,
Mm.
but items, like we are used to handling items in our surroundings. I think that could be an intuitive approach to it. That's my thinking.
Yep. Okay. I guess I have one final thing on this as well, just a reflection, I suppose. The wrist menu, the wrist interaction, will not work in 2D. Uh, but
Correct,
but
but
but we
it
can
could
do.
be two menus in the overlay.
I'm sorry.
But isn't that
I was thinking that
It
just
could be
this
two
could just be
menus.
triggered, like if the buttons, the interface, the wrist interface is going to be two-dimensional ish. Which
we?
Yeah,
we can
so you can
just
just
trigger to
project on
show
the window.
exactly to show on the window instead, and they can look the
Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
We
is
can
the
even
heads up?
reuse the same thing. We just position it differently for a
Um,
2D
okay,
interface.
but if I'm correct, I think you already implemented that. It's in the heads up menu. It can be part of the heads up menu that's always displayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do have the menu with our that. So one of the two buttons is already implemented, basically.
Hmm.
We could just add one more button for muting as well, and add a keyboard equivalent to it, I guess.
All right. I'm gonna take over here. Okay. And show you my
Okay.
stuff. So I made visuals and all that because, yeah,
Nice.
I had some time to explore new things as they came. So, yeah, again, like I said, I was pretty stuck on this like 2D menu idea, which I'm now reconsidering. But that aside, I like the mirror-ish solution that we have today, and like having the U part that you call like the identity, I guess. Switching avatar, setting a name, and then potentially in the future setting a highlight color. Something that could be just something that would differentiate you from the others, since we only have 3 avatars. So this would be the identity section, and a section for joining places, which is again like this is based on pretty much on what we have today. This is not like a far in the future kind of vision, like Nevin's 3D stuff, which is way cooler, of course. Juliana, could you follow me instead? This little cursor thing is blocking. There we go. Thank you.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry about that.
Create new place connect. Yeah, this doesn't really make sense anyway. I said here,
I
don't
am
know if you.
following you. I think I just zoomed in to read.
Ah, all right. Let's ignore this button. But for now,
No, I think that button is really important. Having a link back to places.aliverse.com in the UI is super important. So I think that's actually a super important button.
okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Create a new place. Yeah, yeah. Very common sense. We actually have to create places.
Yeah, how else are you going to join them?
So I had one
Yeah.
section here, like this whole again, thinking of a menu, I was thinking like of the good, like the field of vision that you have. I have a welcome, hello, welcome to Aliverse thing, and also with the ability to quit Aliverse up here. And I have the microphone settings down here, the muting option here, and the showing the current microphone that is the currently active one. And if you press this, you get the list of available microphones for you.
I like that.
I had so this kind of card-based UI would allow us to like insert cards where needed. Like for example, if we know that someone is the first time they're in Aliverse, this is very similar to like to the shiny door you talked about. We can give people like, oh, if you're a first timer, then we can give you a little hello, welcome, do this thing. If something is confusing, and then highlight a beginner's room for them, so they have a place to start. Yeah, well, that was basically it. I would like to check this out and consider it in the three-dimensional environment.
Yeah. Well, one reflection, if I may.
Yep, of course.
When this UI gets a little bit wider like this with 3 cards, like it barely fits on screen the menu we have now, which is a 3-parter. The UI is a bit curved so that it all appears focused when you're just panning. But one thing we could do that we're not currently doing that I've seen some others do is if you have UI outside of your field of vision, where you can show like a small transparent arrow pointing to like scroll over to this side to see this thing. So for beginners, like if you can't see the thing that you want to get to, like if the avatar selection pane, the leftmost pane, is like mostly obscured to the left because your main UI is taking up most of your vision, could show like an arrow or some indicator telling the user to move the viewport to be able to see that. And that might work both in VR and in desktop mode. And it's also a pretty good hint at like how do you actually move. So it might not be intuitive that you use your left mouse button to grab your viewport to scroll over and see what's going on to your left and right. But to use Aliverse, you need to understand that. So like forcing the user to do that as a part of the onboarding process might be a good way to teach them about how to navigate Aliverse.
Totally.
And that's also, I mean, I think the doorway and the mirror also works with that, because then you actually have to walk around.
Yeah.
And that will teach the user how to walk as a part of the onboarding process.
Yep. That's what entices me a lot about that idea. Like that's just a room. The menu is a room. It's very cool. Yes, I was thinking about this being like a curved around you kind of thing. But yeah, you're right.
It's I think it still wouldn't fit. So we need to think about, and already do need to think about, like how do we get the user to understand how to get to stuff that's outside of the viewports. Like the launch app UI we have right now is actually mostly off screen by default.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's very intuitive at the moment.
So I think I also would like to add a couple of things here.
Yep.
One starts with, I would love if we could achieve absolutely eliminating onboarding a user. And what would that take for us to do so? Either giving them a step at a time, like choose your avatar and then something else shows up on the screen, and just we take them through a couple of steps before they reach, a menu they're going to see every time they log in, or anything that could eliminate that. I think is going to be super beneficial. there's two things that I get when I'm being onboarded. One is that I feel like I am not very smart of a person and I can't navigate a thing without being told how to. Um, but the second would be, the time a user spends that they really want to get into what they want to get and they're being stopped from the journey.
Yeah,
Um,
that's so annoying.
Mm.
so those two things, if we could work to, and I think why I'm saying that is when we go to just any website on the web, right? Any website, you don't have an onboarding. It's the tools and everything you're utilizing. It's so common knowledge, and we need to bring that common knowledge in here. And that is why I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from the 2D, UX with 3D UI, because a
Right.
user is already knows how to do what to do with those tools. So that's one thought. The second thought would be, I think I remember us talking on some of the UIs that Toby and I put on Figma, and everybody liked the a menu that brings up different functionality as opposed to having everything laid out at once. Um, and the reason was because it obstructs the view of the 3D. And then we talked about having some sort of transparency going on, and things like that. So um, I wonder if we're still there or we're moving away from that. Um, yeah. I know this is UX, but now we have a little UI you throw at Ask Toby. So we are going at it. So
Yeah.
I do want to remind everyone about those conversations. You guys all know my preferences, but you all know that I will go with whatever the team wants. So, um, yeah. But I do remember conversations having about having a menu and things show as you click on them with a transparent background.
I think my initial take on that is that there's a difference between the overlay menu and the main menu. Because in the main menu, there is nothing to be covered. Like, there isn't anything else going on than the stuff you're doing in the menus, which might be an argument for having more substantial menus when you get into it. But the menu for when you're already connected to a place and you want to do things like launch an app or go into the options, those might not want to obscure too much of what's going on beneath. That's yeah.
Yeah.
The in place
That's
menu.
I honestly like I know that we have the house in the connect menu right now, but
we don't actually.
you don't anymore. Oh, okay. Well then, good.
So, do you guys want to name this view that we are looking at the welcome menu? So, it's more like intuitive. Want to discuss on what it is because the connect menu like
Sure. I'm even
didn't
considering like, are we gonna call it a menu at all? Like maybe doesn't seem to be helping me at least. Like,
the welcome screens or the
or even a
welcome.
room, because this is oh yeah.
If we could somehow, Toby, have whatever we have here can make a little hierarchy on it. I think I would like that. Like, you have a little greeting card and you know choose your avatar, and then the reason or the create go to a place is, I don't know.
Uh,
I would
for me
prefer.
for me to make something that looks more like yours, you mean? Is that
No, no, no.
what are you
Um,
asking?
to- Totally different. So you're proposing here that we see everything that it's all layout as you come in,
Hmm.
right? As you join Alloverse, this is what we are met with.
Yep.
I'm asking, in my opinion, my preference would be to have all this packed in a couple of steps, one or two,
Hmm.
as opposed to the user be like, that's so much. Like a little welcome thing and choose your avatar, like two fun things, and then connect to a place after you choose your avatar. Or I don't know. I just don't want to overwhelm people be like, what do I need to do?
Mm.
Visually,
It's a good it's a good point because people don't generally like name themselves before they join Alloverse right now
Yeah.
because that's not the highlighted UI when you come in. So
Yep.
maybe it makes sense to like do them stepwise. Maybe.
Yep. So
I
maybe
don't know,
like that
something.
is it. Like the first you enter the room, and only this identity part is available. With, I guess, welcome and the
With,
possibility to quit as well.
yeah,
Right.
like the 1, 2 are like the main, and then 3 and 4 are like they're like subtle, like secondary, as you already have them.
Yeah, this is already also like a must though. Like you need to have, just like you need to have looked at your avatar and your name, you need to have a
Oh yeah,
microphone working as well
yeah,
before you then go
yeah,
on to entering a place.
yeah, yeah,
Getting
exactly.
microphone permissions into the onboarding is something we sort of have to do. It's not great with the dialogue just popping up on demand like it's doing right now. So it'd be really nice to get microphone permissions into onboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you think about it, already these are 3 call to action places. One is have them read. Second, have them choose this and choose what microphones they're going to use. It's a lot for a rival.
Mm.
And obviously, then they have to interpret this information. Like, oh, I can quit if I don't like it. And then maybe this should be like a second step. Great. Where would you like to go now? You're looking handsome. Your avatar is looking handsome. Where would you like to go? Who would you like to visit? Would you like to create your own place?
Yep. Okay, cool. I have some new thoughts on this that I'll, but yeah, that's interesting. Do we have any more other final thoughts on this, or shall we move on? Moving on then.
I know
Yuli, what?
Patrick joined us. I
Yeah,
know Patrick's
he's
here too.
lurking a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hanging out.
Just hanging out. Cool.
Hi, Patrick.
I heard something about a wrist thingy.
Hmm.
It's probably nice
Hmm.
if it's along what I've been talking about before. I don't know what it is, but missed the start.
Hmm.
Just noticed 15 minutes too late that there was a little notification up in the corner of the screen. Sorry.
No problem. And we're recording this, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
All right, Yuli, would you like to take us to the final sketches?
Final Frontier.
Yes.
Final Frontier. Let me see. That has been so long ago, guys. So
If you like,
I think
what's this?
and also the more I was advancing into working on the next and next and next board, I think I spent less and less and less time on. So this is, sorry guys, I'm like carrying you with me everywhere. Apply to disconnect without input, change avatar. So this is like in place menu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the menu after you chose all you made all your choices. You're already in a place, and now you wanna do new things or redo certain things like change your avatar or
Yes. So this would be
yeah.
you have entered a place and you have pushed the R button, or in the future a wrist button, to open the menu. And what do you see?
Give me a second to refresh my memory. Okay, yeah. So on top here, what you see on the vertical, it's basically the breakdown of the functionality, and then on the bottom, I guess it's a small proposal for a UI organization.
Mm-hmm.
And the back home. So okay, so just to start with the vertical. So we have apps, the mic on and off. Now I think it would be nice to have this on the wrist as well as here at all times. It's never too much. Going back home, it was when initially we had no, we can still go back home. we can still go back to exit. It's almost like exiting the place, but not exiting the app.
Okay.
So it basically brings you to the screen that we just talked about previously. Close menu is basically right here, this little guy. And then exit all over. It's, you quit the app altogether, and then obviously you change the avatar. So I think in this situation, this is how I see it. Um, and then, kind of everything will show up here. So this is more the UI part. This will be more the UX. I'm trying to drag over it, but it's dragging
You can hold the shift.
the shift, right? Okay, yeah, that's right. I did it earlier. So this would be the functionality that's packed in there. And kind of that was my proposal at the time, to be honest. Not much to say about that. It's pretty much what we have right now with the, yeah, it's very high level.
And for this UI, or sorry, did I interrupt?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I'll do mine after.
Okay, for this idea of the UI, these are tabs.
Yeah, so those are tabs. Yeah, they do act like tabs. So as you click in, the information is displayed above.
Above, okay.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, and then the X closes the menu, and the button is exiting Alloverse. And that has to be more specific. You want to know you are actually doing that, or quit would be a better word than exit, because it would be screaming, "Hey, you're actually going bye-bye."
There might be there might be confusion here because you're entering a place, so then exiting. It's like exiting the place, but quitting the app. Yeah, right? That makes sense.
But I like the idea of having the overlay menu or in-place menu being basically a bunch of shortcuts into other stuff, like we talked about before. Not having like a huge menu that covers everything you're already doing. So I can see this UX meaning the UI of the spatial inspired hexagons, for example. Yeah. Cool. I like this lean bar.
Yeah. That's it for me. Whoever wants to take it away.
I think it's just mine left. Which again is feeling more and more outdated because this is a lot going on. And I think we're also back on the more of like a tab situation, because probably you're not going to be changing. Like, I want you to be able to, and that's a separate discussion, I suppose. Like that, whether or not you should be able to change your avatar, change your name, and potentially highlight color when you're inside a place. I think you probably should, which is why it's here.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
It's just I couldn't be bothered to implement it when I was working on it.
Yeah, but this is just way too much information at once. So I think something like Yuli's, like a tab interface, like we discussed previously as well. I do like the app grid, which I've been looking at a little bit lately as well, that you've both seen at this point. But this would be one of the tabs, so to speak. And then there could be another tab for a microphone. I don't like, that would be more like the options for picking a microphone. Possibly muting there as well, but that would be like a separate section as well.
I think there are a lot more options than microphone that one would probably want to change from this menu.
Yeah. So
like maybe you want to change locomotion style because you want another style for what you're currently doing.
Yeah. So add a...
Tell me a bit of locomotion style. What do you guys mean by that? I mean, I know what it is, but...
Like right now we have... I don't know what the official word for it is, but when you press the stick, you physically move. You do smooth movement in the direction you push on the stick. There's also teleportation, and
okay. I love the teleportation.
Yeah. So I think we can't. Smooth movement is basically the most hardcore style of movement you usually have. So we definitely need something more friendly for beginners as well.
Yeah.
But depending on what you're doing, you might like teleportation might be great for some instances, but terrible for other applications. You might want to be able to switch back and forth. I think it's
Yeah.
important to have access to that from the overlay menu somehow.
Yeah, that's that's a really obvious one that we really need to have. So I'm gonna add it quickly to here on my thing. I know someone is following me. Don't, because Toby's
No.
recording.
And also, we talked about like having a list of users that probably belongs in the overlay menu as well.
I'm sorry, a
If we're
list
talking
of.
about information design, list of other people in the same place
Oh yeah, locomotion.
for chatting or teleporting to, or asking to teleport to you and stuff like that.
Like showing the network.
Yeah, who's in this place beside me?
Yeah, okay. Like, I have a few things here that I can use to move forward. And definitely tabs.
I didn't add any brainstorming to this part, but I have two ideas, if I may.
Yeah, do it.
Again, a bit out there, but instead of opening UI panes, like private UI panes for changing your avatar or launching apps, when you press the icon for launching an app, it could launch an app launcher into the place. So you get a piece of UI in front of you that other people can see, which lets you launch apps rather than having some private UI. Maybe that's too out there, but and same with the mirror. Like the mirror could be a shared app that if you want to change, say, your avatar during, maybe that's not a good idea. Never mind. But I think the app launcher being shared, I think that could be a good idea.
Okay. So let's.
I think it's a good idea to at least have the option to share the interface that you're looking at. I saw something like that in Neos as well, and it was super good for especially showing someone how to do things.
Right, if you're like helping each other with stuff.
Yeah.
Where was that? What app was that, Patrick?
A social platform called Neos, Neos.
Why don't I
It's
know?
a super geeky metaverse thingy.
Okay, I don't see
It
this
is.
one.
It's extremely nerdy,
Okay.
but very powerful. It's full of great ideas, so I recommend checking it out if you haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
That's why I'm
Yes.
asking about it. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
I had a great experience when trying it out for first time. You get asked if you want to do it in a social environment, and then someone will come and find you and tell you how stuff works. That's awesome.
Awesome. Cool. I'll definitely check it out.
So, if there was an option here for, let's say, like there would be a button for opening an app opener, kind of, which in itself is an app. I'm just let's say that I'm in the place and I want to summon an app, like a confetti app. In this case, like what we've been discussing so far, I would lift up my left wrist and I would press a button on my wrist. That would open a kind of a main menu-esque situation.
Yeah.
And then from there, I will select a tab, the tab that says, apps, unless that's already open by default. And once I do that, the menu closes and instead launches another app in front of me, whose purpose is just for me to browse and summon apps.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Totally correct.
I also like the idea of blank places when they're newly created. They have the app launcher already running in the space. So if you want to launch a new app, like you just join the place and click an app right there. So it's like you talked about, Juliana, having a default UI in a place which shows you what you can do in there.
Yeah. I know Toby is going over some thoughts in his head, so I'm going to hold on to a different until he's formulating what. I know I can see the wheels spinning, so I'm going to give him a little time, and then I'm going to throw a ball curve at everyone.
Yeah, okay. So if
Curveball.
me adding apps to the place is probably something I won't do too often. And I'll probably add a few at a time while I'm at it. So there's an app launcher app that's sitting in the place. Currently, I walk up to it and I have permission to use it, so I can pull some apps out of it and place them around. And then I feel like, well, I'm done adding apps for now, so I'm going to close it.
What is the struggle?
Hmm?
What's the struggle that you're chasing? Is it how to have all this functionality within the app tab? What are you trying to solve? I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a new concept for me, like that I'm not launching apps from a menu. I'm launching apps from an app which I have summoned through a menu. So let's say I'm done launching apps, or other people can collaborate with me as well, or like they can also use this app launcher. They can also pull out their own apps. This is okay. So I think this is it. Like this collaborative experience of like using a menu, which the app launcher basically is.
It's a shared. I remember when we were searching the competition, all the menus that you were opening, I was able to see.
Able to see, yes, but not use.
Interact with. Yeah. Well, which we can do a better job of making this a collaboration situation right from the start, and add restrictions later. Like the restrictions exist, but we start with this is open, you can just jump in and start collaborating, as opposed to searching from where I can enable Juliana to be able to, pull an app out of the list. I think it's more a more welcoming space when everything is ready, the tools are there to be grabbed and interact with by all the members, as opposed to restricting everyone from start and have them do work to unrestrict them. That was one of the struggles we had. So basically, Toby would be whatever we see, you and I can pull apps and have the same permissions.
So, like, let's say you and I, or like the four of us, enter a new place, and there's an app launching app sitting in the middle of the room. We're all gonna walk up to it, and I'm gonna try to pull something out of it. But before that, you have already scrolled away from that app that I was trying to add. I just do you guys imagine this to be a problem? Like, if you're trying to use something collaborative like this,
I already scrolled away, as in.
Or maybe you started searching for something in the search bar of the apps, and like, oh, I love it. It's their golf club app. You started searching for that, and that wasn't what I wanted to search for. I wanted to add something that was on the current screen, on the current page.
Well, you would see that in real time, and you would have to wait your turn, because that's what collaboration is. We speak taking turns. Shouldn't be different from real life in sharing those experiences.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if you're using an item in real life, to be cautious and not break stuff that other people are standing by and using. If you're using the printer, I won't walk up to it and press the power button like while you're using it.
Right.
No.
It's common sense. Yeah. But it's a good.
And
It's
there's
good. Toby does raise a problem though. That's also
yeah,
about permissions that I was envisioning earlier about permission. And Toby, I don't wanna talk on your design because but I do wanna make like two squares here just to visualize better what I'm trying to say. Um
Yeah, the sticky note or something, yeah, or whatever.
yeah, so I wanna change the color of this. Come on, you know. It's overlapping. Hold on. But it brings me to the point in which maybe we can set permission as easy as a binary, like use this as a one person. If it's your space, you're the one who's. Come on now. One that you're presenting, or all. So let's say you are the owner of the space, you created Toby's place or Nevin's space. And then you can just have these two buttons sitting right here and or at the higher level even. I'm not sure, but probably the apps and just kind of give permissions, click on just me and all. And it could be really that simple because one of the annoying things that I've seen when Toby and I were searching is that he and I have such a hard time enabling permissions for myself. And I came in with no permissions whatsoever, which I guess for a space that we were checking that wasn't really catered to a lot of like professional adults made sense. But since we cater this professional adults and collaborative space, it should be by default. But it should be easy to turn it off too. You shouldn't be like in the middle of a meeting, be like, oh my god, freaking out, where is that button?
yeah, me versus all is a great distinction. I mean, it could be me, all, or custom, but either way, I'm highlighting, so it's very easy to set that between those
Yeah.
two options. I like it. That's a great idea. I like it.
Okay,
It should
so
be right on top next on the main tab of the all apps.
so this is this UI that say then an administrator would have? Is
Yeah.
that what this is? Okay.
Yeah. And because you were struggling on like making sense of how people would interact, and it's a great problem, and that would be one of the ways for me I would solve it.
So maybe I'm
Because
getting ahead of myself here. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Keep going.
I was gonna add that you brought up a very great point.
So let's say this. Perhaps I'm going too far ahead here, but it's a workshop, and participants are allowed to add certain apps, but not others. Some other apps can only be added by the person holding the workshop, say, but the other guys are able to add some. Like how would one resolve it, like a shared UI like that, where like different people should see different things, if the menu is collaborative?
Okay, so you're talking about a second level of permissions. So this would be a first level, and this would be like, really right off the bat, quick meeting, three of us. I don't want to think about much how I'm going to give permissions. Let's say we present to 100 people, and there's three of us in the team presenting to 100, and we only want to give permissions to four of us: Toby, Patrick, Juliana, and Nevin. We can have that in the setting, like adding people who get the permission, and maybe set that up prior to a larger meeting presentation. Because I think the case, if I understand correctly, you're talking about setting permissions to just certain people, right? Not all of them.
Yes. This is
Okay.
yes.
So
No,
if
you're talking about what to show if the permissions are different for different people, right,
Yes,
Toby?
yes.
That's what you meant.
That's what I'm meaning. Yes.
Not the problem of assigning the permissions, but what should be shown when someone has versus doesn't have permission.
Yes.
that's a different conversation, I feel.
Sure.
Like what? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So basically, what which ones of these apps will show to everyone, right?
Yeah. So the way I've been imagining this before is like this is a menu that I see personally. So if this menu is now moved out as an app where everyone can see it, everybody will then have to see the same thing on it. And
That gets into another problem that we haven't really discussed a lot. Is like when you launch an app, whose app is it? Because it probably wants to customize itself to the person who launched the app, and that goes for any kind of app. Like if you have a note-taking app or a to-do list app, like I'm working on a to-do list app right now, and like where do you save that to-do list, and how do you correlate that database to who's using the app? And the way I've been thinking there is like the user that launched the app sort of owns it, and it displays content related to that user.
yeah.
So like if I launch the to-do list, I get my to-do list, even though everybody can collaboratively edit it if permissions allow. But if you launch the to-do list app, you get your to-do list.
I see. Okay.
So I think like having an active user is something that some apps are going to have to consider, and that might be even switched during usage to set to like the latest user to interact with the app is the current user, or have a switch user button or whatever. I'm just saying this is an interesting and complex concept we haven't talked about before.
Yeah.
That applies to more than just app launcher.
It could be as easy, but this would be if you don't have a lot, and you can just have a icon like show don't show on each card, and you can quickly turn them off. But when you have a lot, it's pretty laborious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're out of time for this session, and I have a few things to think about. I'm gonna try to collect my thoughts and consider these my new findings here. Consider the apps as app launcher as an app.
I wrote in that space at the top of it. I put my notes of
Great.
the stuff I mentioned, so it's all logged at the top of the document. FYI.
Cool.
If it's help, app launcher is already an app. The whole menu stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it is. So it could be launched both as a private app and as a public app.
Yeah, it is an
Could
app.
be both.
It is an app right now, but it's only visible for the person who opened it, right?
But it might make sense to have it be able to like open it just for you or for everybody, like being able to do both.
can we have like permissions per entity? So you can set like this is only visible for this entity, for example.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Toby has a very strong point, because if he wants to only filter certain apps, that must be shown, but everything else, like the menu and everything else, is visible, but he just wants to pick and choose what apps are visible to all of them. Yeah.
Yes, I could go on about this, but we are out of time, so I should let y'all go.
Well,
Yeah.
this was a really interesting session, and
Yeah.
thanks for arranging it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Lot of awesome stuff, you guys.
All right, we will talk later.